Community Redevelopment Agency, the regular meeting Thursday, February 6, 2025 at 2 p.m. Frank Hartzell is going to lead us. Thank you, Frank, for leading us in our prayer and our pledge. Please rise.
Let's pray. Lord Jesus, we stop and give you thanks for the many blessings for our town of Lake Placid. Lord, I lift up this group gathered here, the council, for wisdom, knowledge, just discernment. I ask that you would bless the decisions made today, and we praise you for the town we live in and the blessings of this great nation. We ask that you just watch over us and guide us, and we give you the praise and the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, could I have roll call, please?
Mayor Holbrook, Councilmember Hayes.
Here.
Councilmember Worley,
Here.
Councilmember Charles,
Here.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Here.
Board Member Hartzell,
Here.
Board Member LeBlanc.
Here.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and move on to the consent agenda, which is the approval of the agenda and approval of the meeting minutes for December 5th, 2025. Do I hear a motion?
So move. Second.
Thank you. Anything from the audience? Okay, I'll go ahead.
I was.
Joy. Okay, hearing nothing from the audience, I'll go ahead and ask for the vote.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Worley,
I don't vote in capacity as vice mayor. Thank you.
On the CRA board, you do. On the CRA board, you do.
Oh, I do. Okay, yes.
It's
Here.
different than the town council.
Okay,
You're a full board.
yeah, I didn't, nobody told me that distinction. Okay, yes.
That's what I was told.
Councilmember Charles,
Yes.
Board Member Hartzell,
Yes.
Board Member LeBlanc.
Yes.
Okay, I would ask that everybody here, please put your mics down, speak into the mics. I guess YouTube has said there's some problems hearing people, so if you all could help us with that. Is there any public comments? Anything from the public that you would like to get up and talk about? Okay, we're going to move on to 3 on the agenda, Keep Lake Placid Beautiful, an updated plant list and suggestions.
You guys have a copy of the plant list that we have? Yes, you do.
Yes.
Okay. Last Monday, there was quite a few of us met, myself, Alex, Ken, Jose Ibanez, and I think a few others. Anyways, we met until after dark, walking up and down Interlake, hitting all these planters and kind of going over kind of a basic arrangement, but volume of plants, numbers of plants, types of plants. On this list, you can see from page 1, 2, 3, the bottom number in the little key, that's the quantity of plants. Then the corresponding abbreviation will show you the plants that are over on the side. We try to pick something that didn't, some of them are going to require trimming, maybe 2-3 times a year. We try to limit that. We did no firebush. We did no liriope. So we went ahead and picked things that have color, that have little to low maintenance, and what we thought looked best. We tried to match some islands to islands across the way from each other. So if one had a magnolia, we did a magnolia cross. If one had the ferns, we did ferns, and just try to go down there and kind of get a consensus. Then the next day I put everything on paper. We gave it to the engineer, and he came up with this map in the abbreviations and quantities. There are some things that are not on here. We have islands that are just one step off of Interlake. He does not have these on this map, but we did plan on doing those with the planters. Then also the 2 large islands that are in front of, next to right, I guess to the west of Walgreens and west of the bank. So there's 2 big islands right there. So we got those on there too. So the plant list is a little bit off. The azaleas, I think he says 240. I had close to, let me see what I have. I have 326. So the plant list needs to be updated. I don't think a lot of the council members really care as far as how we rearrange the plants. We're just looking for the approval of the plants and the styles and the types that we're doing. The chief was also there to make sure that we didn't go any higher than 3 foot or lower than 5 foot when we come up to the intersections for safety, as far as that goes. There are a few locations that we decided to do pavers. There's some very small triangles that really don't lend themselves to landscaping. So I think we have 3 or 4 spots that we plan on pavering, running irrigation to it. And in the future, we'll do phase 2, we'll do maybe pots down Interlake that match Main Street. Also, the second phase, the palms that are across from Wauchula State Bank, or whatever it is now.
Crease.
And then Walgreens and where those cabbage palms are, we're just going to clean those out. We're not going to irrigate those right now, nor put plants in there. We're kind of concerned with the irrigation as far as volume of water. So the cabbage are already established. They do not need water like everything else does, so we can cap that water off, make sure we have enough water for the planter beds and new plants that we're putting in, and then later we can test if we have the water volume up there. Then if we want to put plants underneath those cabbage, we can do that later. Any questions?
Just, can you clarify, this is great, so, but the plants up above, is there a key to which plants are going into which of these islands?
Yes. His key is a little
Off?
confusing.
Yeah,
Right. So really, the 05, 06, that doesn't really correspond with anything. So if you look at the COO is the Cootie palms, then you go to like DWT is the dwarf Tibicini. So there's the numbers on the plants don't really show that, but the names do correspond to the plants that are shown.
so let's take an example of Stewart Street in Interlake, that little island right there, says FAS 33, COO 37. So then I go look over in the bottom key where it says FAS, and that's azalea. Is that
Correct.
how I would,
Yep, and the Cootie.
and the,
And the bottom number is the quantity in each island.
okay, that makes sense.
So we try to limit it. We have 12 different items that will be going up down Interlake. You can see the different from the azaleas all the way back to the crepe myrtle. Some of the ones we only have 1 or 2 or 5, and that was just kind of matching what landscaping's already there and kind of, get it symmetrical as far as on different islands and across the street. So as far as Bert would say, hand grenade math, by the time we figure the plants, the clean out, we have to lower the beds because the mulch, some mulch is flowing out. It was consensus to get rid of all the red mulch. A lot of people aren't a fan of the red mulch anymore. I think it was talking about doing some kind of chip bark or a bark, but a smaller bark, less chance of it floating out of the planters. Redoing the irrigation, probably with microjets, and then replanting everything and remulching it. So there's probably going to be 4 or 5 different bids that we would have to go out and get. And like I said, hand grenade math, we're in the $45,000 to $50,000 range is where I kind of estimate when everything comes together. I did speak to Captain Pendarvis with the Sheriff's Department. He says he will allow trustees to come down, which can probably do all the clean out. So they can strip the beds, pull all the mulch out. They don't have the capability of pulling stumps out, but at least they can do all the manual labor, put it in a dump trailer and haul away all the mulch. So that might be one bid that we won't have to get other than just the stumps. The well, Harry did test the well. I think it says like 80 gallons per minute. So we should have enough to do 220 to 240 microjets and heads throughout the planter. So we should have adequate irrigation for all the new plantings that we're putting in.
Can I just make a comment? Just a reminder that we do have the $15,000 for the plants, so keep that in mind when you're looking at this from the pipe bursting project. So when we're looking at possibly, if we go ahead and move forward with this, we would need to be able to look at our current budget for the CRA and see if there is a project that's in there for 24, 25 to be able to move some of that money, because we're going to go over, obviously, if we have to do this phased approach. And we would rather, in our discussions, we all agreed that it would be our best interest to go ahead and do this up front so that we invest in it now and get it out of the way. One of the items, and we will send this out after the meeting so that you have it, so you can look at the CRA budget and see what's in there. We had looked at the park benches. Even though we know that that's already on there for the 24-25 year, there's $15,000 that's in there. Because of the park benches being the composite that they are very, I mean, I know that they're not the most appealing because of the color, and Alan explained that when they first came out, that color options were not a choice, but composite is very durable and it lasts for a long time. So it may be an alternative for us to slate that to another time, possibly wait until after we get our master plan from Central Florida Regional Planning for the downtown area. So maybe just move that back, just an idea. Some different things, obviously it's up to the council to decide, but just one of the items that I felt like we could probably bring forward, and after we discussed it with our group, they thought that would be a sufficient area to pull some of that money as well. Just something to think about.
And I had, in the last meeting, said that the 32,000 for the septic to sewer, that, to me, that's fair game.
Just move.
Take that out.
Right. So we can vote on that at the next meeting, because we'll be able to have a better plan on what it's going to cost for sure. We'll have some estimates for you to look at, and then we can vote at that time to move and reallocate funds as needed.
And with the CRA, my understanding, as far as you can't pay for maintenance, Keep Lake Placid Beautiful does have some funds to be able to pay for maintenance up until next fiscal year, when it can be added into the general budget. You know, our funds come from Steins, which unfortunately, going down 27, those were $1,000 signs each, have all gone away. So it's kind of hard for us to bill our sponsors when there's no sign out there. So our revenue is dramatically down this year, and then the money we get from Keep America Beautiful has to be spent, which we can use for fertilizer to fertilize it once these plants go in, and some of those other things.
All right, so these drawings are great. They just need to be tweaked, right? So I assume over the next week or so, you'll get Dennis to tweak them, get everything straight on them, and you'll put them right out to bid. And the idea is by the next time we meet next month, we'll have bids on all this stuff that we could then talk about and vote on. Is that the plan?
I know I don't have Kevin here right now, but Kevin worked on the $15,000. And so the way that that is set up is it's going straight to Keep Lake Placid Beautiful, so they will handle the plants. It's going to be the other items that we need to get the quotes on to be able to go out to bid. Dennis had an emergency, and that's the reason why he's not here, so he's going to work with them on updating this. So yes, that will happen.
Okay, so some of the stuff is done directly by them, some of it will be paid for by us.
Correct.
But we have to get all these quotes in, and we have to finalize everything, which is going to be at the next meeting. I mean, I don't know that it's going to happen, but if the numbers come in before our next meeting, I don't know if we can call a meeting early, but, you know, March 9th is coming up really fast. I mean, it's probably no chance we could get any of this done before then. I mean, maybe cleaning them out. But it'd be nice, you know, our goal was to get it done before, you know, the show aired in March, but if we can't get it done by then, maybe we can get it done as close as possible to that, right? And I agree with you, we can find money, you know, the extra money we need out of things like park benches or whatever. There's plenty of places we could draw money from, I feel, you know, to make it happen. But, you know, I'm behind getting this thing done as fast as we can, you know, so. And I think, great start. And I like the plants. Everything that you got here, I think is great. Yeah.
What I think too is we're all focusing toward March 9th. That's when the segment is going to air. People are not waiting in Avon Park to drive down on March the 9th. They're going to make their plans, and then I think we probably have a good month after that, you know, to get ready, because people aren't going to be here right the next day. Very few. But you're right, Ken. We have to pretend that they are, because that way we get things done. What tweaking are you saying that has to be done? Just the amounts of plants?
Yeah,
Quantities?
are right.
Okay.
I think Billy's looking for all of us to look at these plants and tell him we're happy with the plant selections that are made today. You know, I'm happy with them. You know, I don't know if that's something we vote on or something, but do we need to vote on that?
Well, I'm
Make a
happy
motion.
with the plants too. If anybody cares, I'm happy with them too.
I am also, and I like what you said, they're somewhat low maintenance, right? Because thinking forward,
As much as we can, because, we
Yeah.
don't have much,
right, I
my
like that.
understanding, I have to trim a few times, a couple times.
It'd be more weeding than anything else,
Yeah.
probably.
Correct.
But I like the colors, right? That's what's going to be nice, and the variety of colors, and they complement each other. So this will be our Interlake plan, and then we have the Main Street continuing to move
Yeah, we're
forward.
waiting for the pots to come in, so I don't know if we're going to talk about that after this.
Yes.
Or now, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, we've got pots next. Well, it's on
Yeah.
the agenda.
Okay.
Would it make any sense to sort of coordinate what we're going to do out front of this building along with some similar plants to what we have here? Or is that just too far distance to make a connection there? Just wondering.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah.
And Gibby, I know it's different, but Gibby met with me, and the chamber had a grant that they were able to allocate the funds, so it's supposed to be a surprise, but since it's coming up here, when we have our council meeting on Monday, out around the flagpole and everything will be beautified, and they also had enough in that grant to go ahead and they're taking care of the front. Harry's been working more closely with Gibby on that. I don't know if you have any comments on it, but it's going to be done.
Okay, great.
So there's a lot happening. He's already checked the irrigation is there.
Good.
So this is all going on.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, just my other question is, so when I'm stopped at Interlake at Main, okay, to go west, and when you cross over in front of the bank, Robin the Bank mural, is there a way that we can extend and complement that island with some of this? And the reason is because that is a great corner of a lot of traffic, and I love the plantings on Main with the purple flowers and that. I mean, it's just so eye-catching when you're stopped at the light, right? You kind of look around, and beauty of plants is nice. So this kind of stops at Main, right? And we got that.
It does, because just, when we started doing that hand grenade math and started getting the $45,000, $50,000, we knew it'd be a stretch to get to that. So
Okay.
to keep extending both, we keep going both ways, but I don't think we have the funds to do that. That's the reason we're saying we spoke about doing all four corners, the two end caps and the four corners, with more annual, or flowers and stuff like that. That was a thought, but that's gonna be phase two, as far as with the, same with the cabbage and the understory there.
I agree, though. I think we should add that to this project, and we should find the money.
The Four
to do it
Corners
now.
is, that
I
Four
agree.
Corners has a lot of traffic.
It can't be that much more
And-
money.
and you
to
sit
do
there
the
for
other
quite a
two.
while,
We got two
and
of
then-
the corners in it, I think, yeah.
And by then, we can get an estimate, like I said, hand grenade math, I'm saying probably $2,500 or $3,000 to do the irrigation, clean out the planter beds and plant all those plants, should be more than enough. But by the time we meet next time, we'll have an idea as far as that goes. See what kind of money.
So I think, if we have to have another meeting out there and tell Dennis to add to the, this map, some other things on that corner, I think we should do it and make it part of the quotes and just get it done now, so we don't have to revisit. I do think that there's probably a second phase a year or so down the road with some of the other areas, but I think these areas should be part of that phase. And when we walked through, somebody had mentioned, I don't remember who it was, said, maybe some of these islands are too big and we should use some pavers to make them smaller. So when we walked through, we agreed on that, and we added pavers. So as you look through this, there are some areas of pavers, and in those paver areas, we also felt, because irrigation is at those paver areas, that we could do a stub up and we could do some pots there also.
Okay.
So now those pots are not identified in here that I could see, but I think somehow, some way we should make those happen, whether it happens now or in another phase. If we should put the irrigation in now when we put the pavers in, and if we stub up, then people are going to be worried that it's tripping hazard, so they're going to want to stick a cone on it. So if we're going to stub up, then we should either put the pots in now, or we should put an irrigation box flush to the pavers and put the irrigation in the irrigation box, just a round irrigation box. So I think we need to decide whether we want to try and do the pavers as part, the pots as part of this project, or tell them to put in an irrigation box at each of those paver locations that pots would go, so that we don't have to tear it up later to put irrigation in, right? That's my thoughts.
All right.
Can I-
Few things as far as that. As far as the irrigation in the pots, it's pretty simple. You just cut it below the paver and mark the one paver you got to pull out to get to the pipe. So we're not going to have a trip hazard. We can put the irrigation in there now and just mark the paver and pull it up later. As far as I get you want to go all around that circle, we're not sure we got enough water to do exactly what we're doing now. To expand the volume of water that we needed to put out there, well, we don't know if we have enough to do what we want. The place we want to put in, we want to make sure everything's going to work and everything's going to get irrigated. To go further and not have enough irrigation, then back up, I don't want to do that. But we're talking phase two. Phase two could start the day after phase one. You know, you won't have to wait for a year. So once these plants are irrigated and mulched, we know what kind of water volume we have. Then we can say, okay, let's send out the bid to do these other things.
Yeah, and if we find we don't have enough irrigation, then I think we need to come up with the cost of boring lines, you know, digging lines, adding lines, doing whatever we have to do to get the irrigation to where the irrigation needs to be. There's nothing worse than planting things and having them die, you know, which is what's happened over on the crosswalk on one side, you know, where the irrigation was an issue, and the plants we just planted have died already. You know, so irrigation is very, very important. And if we got to spend money to make the irrigation right, I think we need to.
Start jacking and you know, and unfortunately, we kind of have the thought that there's some breaks in the line we have now that we haven't found. So that 80 gallons at the well might not be 80 gallons once it hits the planter beds. That's the reason I want to. We know we get water there. Exactly if we have enough to do everything we need to do, we don't know. We're hoping it will, but to irrigate the entire town and drill another well in another location, that's a very large
Huge
undertaking.
It's a huge undertaking. And I would be doing the staff and this council a disservice if I didn't take and hone in on the fact that we are very excited about HGTV coming. We are very thankful for the volunteers, because Mr. Brantley volunteers for this service, for Keep Lake Placid Beautiful. But we have to keep in mind that we do not have enough staff with the current projects that are going on to undertake this at the extent that's being expressed here. And that's just the reality. Our team is running on all ends, all the time, trying to make sure and meet that. And so, again, we're very excited about HGTV, but when we sit down with TWQ, we sit down with Mr. Brantley and our team together, this is going to be the best approach, is for a phased approach, and for us to make sure fiscally we can meet the demands of what is being asked. And it is a huge undertaking to look at the irrigation, and a huge expense that I don't know that the CRA or the council will want to explore. And that's just being very transparent.
How huge is huge?
So as far as the HDTV, I question how many people are coming here. I don't think, my thing is, as far as, I'd like to see phase two finished before the Clayton Festival. We know there's going to be way more people coming for the Clayton Festival than this HDTV that we're hoping on. So my long-term goal is have phase two done before the Clayton Festival.
And Councilwoman Eberhardt, I don't have an exact amount, however, we've discussed it because we don't know where the lines are. This goes back well before Alan, and Alan, you've been here 20 years. So in order for us to even be able to look at that, it's going to require busting up to be able to identify. And so we're going to make a bigger mess, and then we don't even know where they're at. This is an item that we're trying to discuss internally with how do we identify them? How are we going to find out what's there, what their capacity is? And we don't have a handle on that yet.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like the colors and the combination and everything. So, I mean, again, just that one corner in front of I've robbed the bank, that if we can't get to it with this to kind of theme it in, then as soon as we can, and then maybe there's a few dead plants, we can just remove some plants, and it is what it is. But good job. Thank you.
There we go. Anything else?
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Thanks,
as far as,
Bill.
do you know when we'll have the revised plant list, or?
He was going to reach out. Him and Harry were already working on that. If he has any questions, then he'll reach out and ask you, but he's going to work on doing that between now and next week.
Okay, thank you.
Alex, did you have a comment?
Thanks. Good job, Bill. Thank you.
My
suggestion.
Go ahead.
Well, everyone was saying, I agree a lot of things. If we could, like what Ken was saying, work on a budget now, since we're already kind of bidding and we already walked it, if we want to add those areas, not that we're going to do it now, we might do it phase 2, like Bill was saying, but at least it's there. At least there's a budget. At least we know how much it's going to be. Maybe we can pull it off. Maybe by the time we get all the bids, we can pull it off. Maybe we can't, but at least I think we should at least try to present it and then make a final decision. Actually, we can go ahead and do everything we want, or let's just hold off, but we already know how much it is for phase 2. And as far as the watering, as soon as we do this, and we can see how much water we have and how much the coverage, and we might be able to say, hey, we might determine we have enough water for pots, so that we can add it in. But then we already have budgets for the pots, we got budgets for the flowers, we got budgets for the other area. It's already set, we already had the meeting, everyone agreed on it. We just have to wait to set up the initial phase 1, plan everything, see how the irrigation works, and if we determine, hey, we got enough water to do phase 2 with the pots, we don't have to do boring, we don't have to do all that, we have enough pressure, it should be a quicker, just kind of make it just a little quicker, to have it ready. I'm not saying let's do phase 2 now or try to figure out how to come up with the money, but maybe we can at least have a plan count, and get a budget, ready for it, and then we can
Yeah.
see where the water goes once we do the installation and see where we're at with irrigation. We can see where
Yeah,
we're at.
I agree with Billy. I mean, you can leave the pipe underneath,
Yeah.
mark a brick that you could pull up later, that's fine. We know how much the pots cost because you just ordered pots, so we can order those later, very easy. Like you said, if we know that there's enough water to water what's there and then water the pots, then we could pull a brick, order the pots, put them there. That's easy enough. The one thing I think we should do, so I don't think we really need to do anything in regards to the pots now because we pretty much already have it figured out, because costs and all that stuff, and Billy's idea is a good idea. But I do think that we should try and add to this plan the other end of Interlake and Maine, and just let it be part of this, whether we do it now or not, or, it's somehow. But I agree, get it in the plan now. While we have Dennis working on this, get Dennis to finish the plan complete. Because, for some reason, he might not be able to do it.
Maybe we can do like an extra line item for that.
Yeah.
Phase 2 bid, and just have it separate. Yeah, just have it like a separate bid to see, listen, if we have enough budget to do it and enough water pressure, we have the next meeting, let's kind of jump on it,
Yeah.
or if we don't, then we'll have to hold
Yeah.
off and see.
And once this is all done, if we find that we have a problem with water, I think it just needs to be brought up as fast as possible. I mean, we could throw another well in for probably $5,000 somewhere. We could cut part of the irrigated area off if we need to, and then put another well somewhere else or whatever. There's means and methods, and I don't think it's going to cost us $100,000 to deal with the irrigation. But I don't want to plan all this stuff and just have it die.
Right.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out, I have heard other towns, or they sometimes especially for flowers, that they tap into the city water. So I don't know if, with those pots areas, if there's access to city water, there might not be that big of a deal to tap in some of those areas, just to tap into some city water to cover those pots. That might be an option, I don't know.
Yeah, it might be.
Just an idea.
But, and I do want to add, I think during this meeting, I don't see it as a budget discussion item, but we should go over each of the budget line items, where are we, and then determine if we've got an opportunity. Like Councilwoman Eberhardt said, there are a couple items on there that, we can either push into future years or even question if we need them at all, because this should be a big priority, right?
Yeah.
A very big priority, and this is what the town, the people have told us they want, and this is what we want. So I would like to today, call it new business or what, but we should just go down the budget real quick, the budget line items, and I think
I
we
was
can
gonna
do
say, I
that
don't
real
think we
fast
have
to
it
say,
up.
anything happening, yes, no, or maybe. Eva's saying, no, we can't.
We don't have the budget available to you.
But
We have this budget available, what do you mean? We've already approved a CRA budget, right?
I think it has to be on the agenda to, I don't know, it's up to
I mean, we can, what I was going to say is, though, remember in the previous meeting, we had said we weren't adding anything new. So the only projects that we have going on right now are the pot project, the downtown flower pot project, and then also Dell Hall, which we haven't gotten to. So nothing else on the budget has been done for 24-25, because we had voted to go this route with focusing on this project.
Okay,
not-
that's fine, but what we can do is then determine what we have in the budget that we could use for more plants, if
Right.
need be.
So maybe we should just
Can I-
wait until Monday. I mean,
We
this
can't
is in
Monday
front of my
because
pro-
Monday's a town meeting, not a CRA.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying, this is in front of my property. I'm just seeing. I asked to be at the walkabout, and I wasn't invited. Okay, this is, I mean, the only gigantic tree is, in the whole project, is in front of my property, and I don't want that. I don't want that big giant tree in front of my property. There's already, you really don't have to do much. It's on 3, if you want to see my property. It's on 3, where North Magnolia comes right into, basically it basically hits my property. So those 2 beds in front of my property, the one on the right already has the box plants, so, and they've done well without irrigation. The pipe bursting thing did mess a couple of them up because they ran over them. I mean, they're still kind of okay, but maybe a couple need to be replaced. But I won't want this gigantic tree. Maybe a tree azalea would be nice. I mean, would be nice to have some height in that one giant bed, but not this gigantic tree. It's the only one on the whole street, and I don't want it.
I think the picture example is a pretty large tree, but the jatropha, that's the idea. It was a small, get some height in there, and when we plant it, it's not going to look as big. And with the pruning, 1 pruning per year, we'll keep it small.
I'm just saying, this is
But-
my property, and I don't want it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
It's the only one on the whole street, and I don't want it. I mean, I would like something different, maybe that flowers, like maybe I don't know if you've seen the tree azaleas, but they have azaleas, so I'm assuming azaleas are okay. But a tree azalea would flower. Hibiscus are too water sensitive, I think, but you already have azaleas. So, and I needed to ask Harry, our street person. Anyway, I think that the tree, I don't know, I
Harry?
think we have,
Harry, sorry, Councilwoman Worley.
is there irrigation in front of my property now?
Not yet, we have to, I'm waiting on Bobby to mark where the sleeves are, the road and the sidewalk to be able to hook into the meter to get water up that way. But then I can't tell you if it can throw from Walgreens all the way up to all those because
Yeah, and those little boxwood plants have done well without irrigation. The palm tree's dying, so I didn't know that, so there's 2 things here. I'm going to go ahead and water it again because it's definitely not seasonal, it's turning brown. So I'm going to water that, but if you could just let me know. If you do get irrigation, I don't want to overwater it, but right now it needs water. And I'm not complaining, I'm just saying, I just want to keep the palm alive, yeah. Well, no, I'll water it, I have no problem watering it. But I do not like this
Yeah.
tree,
Yeah,
I'm
and Deborah, I
sorry.
remember that. So we were going to add more boxwoods in, and we were going to take a few out right in the middle to put something in the middle. Yeah, if you don't like that one, I think we could find something else to put in there. You like crepe myrtles? I mean, we have on the list. Do you see something else on this list that would be, replace that you'd be happy with?
Yeah, and we already have a crepe myrtle out there, right in front, on the left bed, there's the desert palm and a crepe myrtle.
So do you like the crepe myrtle? You want to add a
Crepe
crepe myrtle?
myrtle's fine with me,
Okay.
I just don't want this.
Yeah, so Billy, can we just change that to a crepe myrtle? Yeah, okay. All right, so Billy will change that to a crepe myrtle. Change that to a crepe myrtle, yeah, we were just.
I mean, it's the only one on the whole street, so I don't think that's a problem.
No
Or
worries.
something else. I mean, I do think it would be nice to have the height, because it's a big bed, and there's no,
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
that would
that's why
add,
we
that
did
would
it.
add more
That's
flowers,
why
which
we
I
did
love
it.
the flowers, so.
okay. All right, crepe myrtle it is.
Okay,
Vice Mayor
Yes.
Worley, could I just make one comment when we were talking about the
I
budget?
was going to say, I was kind of talking about the budget, and we took a right turn.
CRAs are governed under Chapter 163. There are a little stringent requirements. Public need to be noticed when we're going to be changing projects, not moving money, changing projects. So benches under a CRA is considered a project, and you really have to have the proper, it's a little bit different than the council meetings, I think. in 163, so they are governed under Chapter 163. By doing a move or a change of a project now without properly being on the agenda, I think goes against that Florida statute, and that's what I was concerned about.
Can you change the timing of a project? So you keep the project on there, you just
You're
pull
taking
one
money-
ahead, push one back.
But you're taking
Just
money
a-
from that project, so you're really
You
canceling
did
that
a different year,
project.
yeah, keep the project just a different year. Can you do
And it
time?
has to be properly, we have to get that on the agenda
Okay.
to properly move a
then-
project from year to year.
So
for
if you
public
advertise it
comments.
for next meeting.
For next
and
meeting, it'll
the
be on
next
the
meeting-
agenda, and everything will be out
Yeah,
there.
and if the bids are brought here next meeting, and then we know how much money we're looking for, and it's been advertised, so
Yes.
then we could decide to use the money that we were gonna use for benches, push benches to next year, use that
Yes.
money this year
So
for
you're gonna
this. We
move-
can make all those changes in next meeting.
Yeah, so you're moving money, but keep in mind, think about moving projects.
Yeah,
We're moving
yeah.
money, but we're gonna move a project
Right,
over.
yeah, okay.
And think
All
of
right,
it that
so we can
way
do it
with
all next meeting.
CRAs.
with
And
right
when you
advertising.
say advertise, is it just the
It's gonna be
meeting
if
notice?
it's on the agenda properly, we've got it out in the agenda packet, we got our bids out there, and the agenda item saying we're looking to change project to this, to this.
And the budget is shown in the
Yes,
data that's
and the budget's
attached
in
to the packet.
in the project,
Yeah.
so we'll present it in a way in the agenda packet that it'll be properly to the public.
So I think one of the items that needs to be discussed is the 32,000 septic to sewer, because that should come from the wastewater enterprise account. You can't use CRA money or town fund monies for the 4 enterprises. And I know when we started building the budget, we started talking about that, and then we're like, okay, we ran out of time, let's move on.
I will say, though, that I did get confirmation from Jennifer Cotto Salisbury with Central Florida Regional Planning. That line item on the CRA is appropriate because infrastructure is covered under our CRA. So to say that it doesn't apply is inaccurate. It does apply. It's just up to the CRA to allocate that properly. So it is covered under
So-
CRA.
But
My
that's not on
comment
our
is,
agenda
it's an
today.
enterprise, so we're going to spend 32,000, and then the wastewater is going to get revenue back from that over time. So I mean, agree it's infrastructure, but it's an enterprise infrastructure. And I
Yes,
think
but,
that's a little different, and I'll
Yeah.
chase it separately too, but.
right, we need to take that up at the council meeting, and I think it is, I haven't looked at the
No,
agenda
it's
yet
not,
today.
that item's not on there.
Okay, so anyway, but that's not for today's meeting, from what I understand, so
No, but
just in,
my comment is, okay, is if we're going to properly discuss budget money at the next meeting, then we need to make sure that we agree, okay, let's put budget. And if there's anything specific, does it have to be specific at the next CRA meeting that we have to say ahead of time? Because
ahead
I
of-
agree, this is number one, this is important. We have areas we just quickly talked about that we could move around or something. So I would like to be able to get that all properly in line so that the next meeting, we can legally discuss it, make a decision,
Now,
give them the budget and the go-ahead.
We could advertise, when I say advertise, put it on the agenda with an agenda item that says that the current 24, 25 projects are going to get re-looked at, or we could even say the next 5 years.
I would say the next year,
To
yeah.
realign our projects. So something to that effect that says, we're looking at the whole thing over again, we're going to move some projects, means you're going to move money.
Okay.
And that way it's on there, and you can look at the whole thing over again if you want. And it's not going to change the capital improvement plan, that you pass, but what it does is it changes the projects you can do this year. Or move projects or cancel projects.
And then that'll give you guys time to kind of come back, and it can all come together at that meeting. We've got, a plan, we've got bids, and we'll see where we can get money to cover it. Approve it and go.
okay, we have somebody at the podium,
Yeah.
please give us your name.
My name is Margaret Deer, and since I don't see any of the merchants here, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for the enormous amount of work that you guys put into this. It is much, much appreciated and long overdue. Only have one thing to beg and plead is that It doesn't matter who does it, but please make people aware of who will be responsible for the maintenance, so that the right people get the kicking and screaming when somebody screams because their bed's not being maintained or their flowers don't look good. And all due respect, Councilmember Worley, I understand that you may not be happy with what's going in front of yours, but it is completely inappropriate for anybody to change their design for you when they don't go to this one, they don't like what's going on in front of their place, or this one, they don't like what's going on in front of their place. That's just accept the plan as it is. Otherwise, it seems a little unfair that you're not going to ask the people what kind of trees or what kind of plants they want to go in front of their building. Respectfully, I understand exactly how you feel, and it's real easy, but it seems a little unfair. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'd like to respond to that, because I did ask to go on the walkabout. But we're all just getting this right now, so, and I probably should have gone down to the podium because it is my property, but as a citizen, I get to say, I mean, it's my property, and this is going in front of my property. So as a resident of the town of Lake Placid, I do get to have input. I mean, it can be ignored. It can be, I probably should have gone down to the podium because it is a personal item. I didn't think about that. But I think everybody knows here that I said I'm talking about my property. I'm not just saying it's just the plan. The other thing is that this does affect your property. I mean, you have your property, you have one of the most major investments in your property, and we're just getting this, and none of the merchants have looked at it. I would like this to go online, and then everybody gets to see what's happening in front of their property. I mean, this is important to the businesses. I mean, I think that the merchants, I mean, probably we could get this over to Ken Anderson. He could put it out. I mean, I think that the public comment, there's been no public comment on the plan. And I think I mean, I'm just finding out. I think it's important to get public input on what's going in front of your business. And I don't know, Frank, you haven't had time to look at it either. I mean, Frank has property on Interlake, and I hear from the public. I mean, and you can understand if something, you owned a property, and one of the biggest investments in your life, I know it is with mine, and I've never had input on what goes in front of my property. And I think it's only appropriate that we ask the people all along Interlake. I mean, I'd like to put this out there online so anybody can see it. And also, I'd like to have it scanned, and I'll send it to the Merchants Association and everybody that owns property. This is a big deal for people when you own property, what goes in front of your place. If somebody came along where you live and put something on the right-of-way in front of your home, you would want to have some say what they're doing. So I'm just saying, and I should have gone down to the podium because it is a personal issue, but I asked to be on the walkabout. I wasn't invited.
But you couldn't, because I think Ken was, that you could, it was sunshine law violation. I mean,
Well,
we all
even
wanted
in
to be
front of
on
my
it, but we only had
property.
to have one. And we did advertise this for updated plant list today. So this has been an advertised meeting, you know, for the public to come. I think you guys done a great job. If there's an issue that's needs to be addressed, then we address it.
So I would just like to say that if that's what council would like, is we can definitely put it out there. As you said, Councilwoman Charles, that was the original plan, was for us to bring this here, get the blessing from the council, and once we got the blessing from the council, then we can put it out to the public. So if you're okay with that, we can put it out there to them, ask for some feedback. And again, there are changes that will come because Dennis is going to update that, our town engineer, to update some of the areas that Mr. Brantley recommended. Our goal is to be fully transparent with everybody so that they know what's going on.
I certainly agree with transparency, but I also think it's important that we respect what these folks have done and the plants that they've put in, where they've put them. I feel certain that they did their best to accommodate the businesses that were there. I'm sorry, Deborah, apparently they didn't look correctly at your place. But if we go along and ask and allow each of the businesses that's on involved with any of these plants, somebody's going to want petunias, you know. I mean, we're going to go crazy trying to figure out what we've got here. So I think it's possible that they would, some of these merchants might come along and completely not want what's there and want something totally different, and now we're back to square one, we're doing plants again. So I don't know what the compromise is, but I just think it does a disservice to the people that have gone along, Mr. Brantley and everybody else who went with him, that went along and determined where these plants would go. I think that's a disservice to them if we do that.
Yeah, it is a balancing act again. If we get, I had the same thought, somebody's going to want geranium, somebody's going to want petunias, somebody's going to do that, and it'll be a mishmash rather than a thematic thing. And all the work they put in it'd be frustrating for them. And then you got to balance with what the people want. So is there anybody here that has a huge objection to something right now?
With the exception of Deborah, which you've already heard.
Yeah,
Can you read it?
I think, we need to have, shown this in the paperwork so that people see it. But, yeah, like you're saying, we put a lot of thought into why we chose what we chose. We were trying to choose plants that have color but are low maintenance that will last for years, so we're not having to replant. And so there's a lot of thought that went into why we picked what we picked and, where we're putting them to go and stuff like that. Whether Debra gets, the crepe myrtle or that, I mean, they're both on the list. It's easy enough to do, but if people come in and start wanting, like you said, petunias and things like that, it's, we'll never get this stuff planted, if we're taking everybody's input. And we took the input from multiple landscapers in town that all have a vested interest in our downtown, and as well as others. So, I think we need them to know what's coming. I don't think that we'll ever get it built if we ask everybody to come in and tell us their opinions on what they would like to see planted in front of their places, you know what I mean?
And they may not realize the parameters that we're under with 3-foot, 6-foot rules and being able to see and, and things like that. And I just looked at these maps, briefly, trying to figure out how many merchants do we have that are, completely affected by this. And most of them, there's only 1 or 2 that I see that would really be affected. And Frank, I was looking towards you to see what you thought about it, because part of it's your parking lot and your business as well.
Well, and that's what I think with Bill. I think he's flexible to, okay, we'll take that out and put something in. And once it's put out to the public, I don't think we'll have that many people wanting to get involved. We'll put this in front of my place and your main islands. Many of the islands are neglected as it is, and I'm sure you saw that walking the street last week. I saw y'all out in front. Yeah, I don't think we'll have a big problem. If it is, like Bill said, he doesn't care what's there as long as it's something else that's put in there. So if he has to change 1 or 2 plants and move one, hopefully we won't run into that problem. Because I know the original planting, I don't think any merchants came out and said, oh, don't plant those palm trees or don't plant those cabbage palms. And, you did it. And I was happy.
And I don't believe we'll have, with plants, whether it's the, azalea or something else in front of that's low growing, we are going to have pushback when we do plant the rest of the foxtail palms, because those are up, they're high, and they block people's signs. So we'll be getting pushback for that, but we didn't do the south side of the road because of the pipe bursting. So when we put the foxtails in a couple years ago, I know Bill, good friend of mine, Bill Nylander, he's not going to be happy. There's a few people that once those foxtails get up there, but I don't think with these plants, like I said, as far as arranging them, it doesn't really affect me. Like I said, as far as that one, and on his, he has 3 of these trees, but I saw on my plan only have 1, which was in front of Deborah's, which, yeah, if it goes to whatever else, doesn't really matter.
Okay. Does anybody else want to, anything else from the council?
Yeah, I have one thing. The kiosk that's going in, that might impact what's going on here. Have we settled on where the kiosk is going to be located?
No, ma'am, when we had the last meeting, they have not, they're waiting to sign that contract and then decide where that's going to go.
Okay, I didn't know if something had happened in the interim.
No, ma'am, not yet.
Can we suggest where it should go?
We can.
I would like to.
I don't know what they will decide because that's being taken care of through the county. I mean, they want to hear where we would like to put it, but yes. I mean, we can make that suggestion.
I thought we kind of tiptoed around that a little bit last time when we talked about, they wanted it somewhere in the town center, and it just made sense at the time, I thought, that we said to put it near the chamber or maybe in Stewart Park, right there by the chamber, or near the chamber of the police department. Stewart Park's kind of in between the two, somewhere like that seems to me to make sense. I don't
The
know.
restrooms are there.
Restrooms
That's what I
too,
thought we
good
had
point.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with those locations.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if that has any,
I'll say-
impact on what you're doing, I don't know, just so you're aware.
Jennifer Bush talked to me the other day, and she was telling me she thought it should go at the Journal. This is a thinking with Jennifer Bush, and this I agree with what she's thinking. The idea of the kiosk is you want it to be where the most people are going to see it and touch it, and then it's going to tell everybody where everything else is in town that they may not already know is there, you know. In the end, I don't really care where you put it. But, you know, the farmer's market at the Journal Plaza, I mean, there's thousands of people going there in a Saturday morning now. It's just off the rails, you know, how many people are coming. And, you know, in many days, it's you know, there's a lot of people there. So if you want the most people to see it and touch it, it's probably going to be at the Journal Plaza. If you put it at Stewart Park or you put it at the Chamber, I'm just not sure how many people are really going to see and touch that sign. And if they're not seeing it and touching it, then, you know, it's not telling where everything else is. So if it's, for instance, you know, at the Journal, people touch it, and then they find out that there's Hartzell's. They find out there's New to You. They find out that there's somebody who does, you know, paintings of flowers on Interlake. You know, they find out that there's a train museum. They find out there's all these other things. So I get the logic behind, you know, why she's, you know, saying that she thinks it should go there. In the end, if you put anywhere you want, I don't really care. You know, it's not going to bring business to the Journal Plaza. It's going to take business to places, you know, other than Journal Plaza, right? But if you want to put it at the Journal Plaza, you can easily tie into my power from one of my light poles. You can tie into my free Wi-Fi, you know, and I don't care, you know, that's fine. But in the end, like I said, you guys put it wherever you think, you know, you should put it, and it's not really going to make a difference, you know, to me or, you know, businesses down there.
Hey, Michael Noel, and yes, I do have 2 businesses at the Journal Plaza, but I also have a master's degree in business administration concentrated in finance and marketing, and I was a business consultant for the state of Florida for 3 years. So I would recommend that you do put this somewhere where there is already high traffic, where it will be seen and used, and not make it a redundant source of the same information. My businesses place rack cards in the chamber, and that's a place where visitors go into the chamber and they already look through those rack cards looking for that information. Those rack cards aren't supplied anywhere else in town. There's no other location. Even if you looked and said, well, people walk around, they're going to walk up Interlake, down Main, let's put it at that intersection. There's no room for people to stand around it. Crowds of people stand around it looking for that information. So I would avoid redundancy in your resources, the information that you're trying to get out to the public, and put it in a place that's a landing place. If you can find another landing place that has a volume of people anywhere else in town comparable to what happens at the Journal Plaza, put it there. If you cannot, put it in front of the traffic so they can touch it and find the other parts of town. They're already finding the Journal Plaza. We don't need to advertise that much more other than what the businesses are doing. And the businesses are heavily involved in social media and are drawing a lot of people already. That would be my professional opinion.
So, Michael, you're saying to put it in Journal Plaza?
That would be the most logical and most useful place to put it, because that would draw the most traffic to that kiosk, and more people will use it there than anywhere else that I can think of in town. Like I say, if you can think of another place that has crowds of people that are going to walk by it, put it there. Mm-hmm. But for whatever it's worth, the Journal Plaza draws more people than anything else in town. I'm not sure how many visitors go into the chamber. Mm-hmm. You can look at that number, but we literally draw thousands of people all the time. I mean, even on our slow nights, if I've got 200 open tabs in my business, that means 300 to 400 people have gone through my business on any day. If you come in there on a Friday or a Saturday, we have thousands. And that's, find another place. Put it there if you can find more traffic, but I don't think you can.
And I don't think it should be in the Journal Plaza, up by the front sidewalk of the Journal Plaza. When Jennifer Bush mentioned that to me, I went to the Journal and I looked for a place that it would go that would be good, and I put a cone where that place is. So right where the flower garden along the sidewalk meets the pavers, there's a little strip of artificial turf there. Right there at the pavers is where I think it should go. And then you're only 4 feet, 3 or 4 feet from a light pole, you know, so they could use the light pole to draw power from. That's where I think it should go. So when you're driving down the street, you'll see it. You know, it's obvious right there. So you don't have to go to Wet Dogs to see it or anywhere in the plaza. It's up at the front sidewalk is where I think it should go, where it, you know, people will pass it all the time. Yeah.
So I'll give another thought, and I don't know the numbers that Jennifer said before, but quite a few people do come to the chamber, the information center, right, the welcome center. And yes, I mean, we all go to the Journal Plaza, and we know about the Journal Plaza, and so a lot of that's the frequent people, and they already know it's there. But they don't know what's at the rest of the town, and a lot of, you know, you see the people with the murals, and, you know, Frank's on that main road, too, the people with the murals, and they've got their book, and they're trying to figure out where to go. I mean, I appreciate everything that goes on with the Journal Plaza, but I sure would like to see some more balance, you know, over by the chamber. You know, we've got the restrooms there, we've got everything there, because as people start with the chamber, then yes, they can pick up the placards, but there's going to be more on this kiosk than just the placards and that. And I think that that's going to allow, one, they know about the plaza, or yeah, I go there, but look, there's a train museum, there's a this. Oh, Hartzell's Market, it has more than just meat. It's a regular grocery store. Right next door is the Purple Iris. So I'm still trying to balance out the town with, rather than something on the far north, you know, west corner, let's put something more central by the chamber, you know, because that's where a lot of people are coming, into the information and the welcome center. So, I mean, I appreciate everything that the plaza does. We have fun down there, but also you're bringing people in to try to get them to know a little more. And I don't see people having a beer at night and then going through to say, oh, that's over here. The people who, again, come from the farmer's market, it's a lot of the regulars. They're coming to buy their stuff, and they already know the town.
Yeah, that was my thinking was also that if you're coming into town off of 27, let me back up. The regulars know the Journal Plaza, but this would be for people who don't know the Journal Plaza. The first thing is they're going to come off 27 and go down Interlake. So if there was something at Stewart Park or the police station, and there is parking in those areas, that was
When
my
we
thought.
walked the street in front of, over by the Journal, because we knew that it was an option that they might put a kiosk over by the police station police station Chamber of Commerce area. There was a triangle area of landscape that, Billy, we had said that we would put pavers on. It seemed like the right place that you would put a kiosk if you put a kiosk by the chamber. It wasn't right in front of the chamber. It was like off Interlake in front of the police department. Although I don't see that pavers are shown in this drawing. So we might need to add it back. I mean, if you guys want to utilize that location, that could be an option. But you'd have to draw power back to the police department building in which you're going to sell. So you got to think about how to, you know, maybe bring power from the chamber over to there, some way to get permanent power to the location.
Ms. Deere, if you could be patient for another minute, we need to hear from our police chief.
Just one comment about this. I just want to be very cautious about where we put this and to ensure that we are ensuring not to block views at intersections. I would also not recommend putting it near the pavers and the new crosswalk. There's already enough attention there for cars. I don't want to draw any more attention away from the pedestrians in the crosswalk. Just to act out of an abundance of caution, I would not put it there. I would look for somewhere else down there if that's what we wanted to do.
Thank you.
Great conversation, y'all. Really great, but so amazingly inappropriate. not at all on this agenda. It's CRA. You've heard from the owner of Journal Plaza and a tenant of Journal Plaza. And there is nobody else to put in their 2 cents about something that isn't on the agenda. So can we please just take this as just general conversation, because we've heard hearsay, because nobody else has the benefit of an opinion, and that, again, is unfair.
Okay, that, for the record, was Margaret Deere.
And I brought it up because it may affect some plantings, and it took off from there.
Well, there is a program that the county has that I think our town administrator has advocated, which I think is a great idea. There's a program that shows where people go, and she had used that to show us how the park usage, who comes to the park and where they go after the park. That program exists, and we might be able to,
It's the Placer AI data, and actually the county's working on it right now to get us numbers for the country fair that just took place, so we'll be able to have some of that information to bring back.
we
So
might
before
be-
it showed, they go to Wawa, so let's put it there. That's where everybody comes in town, fills up with gas, gets their sandwich, and they can see the kiosk. Boom, done. Parking?
What?
If only it were a Buc-ee's.
Well, I was just throwing that out. I mean, we might be able to get some data from that, just to help us, whatever you all want to do.
Something I think about too with the kiosk is it's got to be someplace where, I don't know if we'd had 10 people there and 10 cars parking right now looking, driving specifically to the kiosk, but another possibility is John's Park. So you got John's Park, the Chamber, and then on down to Stewart Park. So, and there is a big parking problem down at the Journal. Whether people are going to, there's a kiosk, let's stop and park. They won't be able to park anywhere down there. But John's Park, there's ample parking for 3 or 4 or 5 cars that would stop there at a particular time. And keep in mind, too, that our police department building is going to be shutting down in the next 2, 3, 4 years. So that building will be up for sale, or so who knows what's going to go in there if it's placed in front of the police department. So, and then on that intersection, there's not parking there. If that intersection, if you go through there on North Oak, that's parked pretty solid most of the time through there. So that's something else we need to consider, I think.
So, well, the bottom line is wherever it goes, is it going to impact you? And just trying to give you some.
We were going to pay for that section anyways, whether something goes there or doesn't go there, we were going to pay for that section next to the police station.
Marlene Barger, Lake Placid. Just a couple of comments. If you're going to talk about kiosk, it ought to be on the agenda. And I would recommend, because the police chief, at some point, you ought to be talking with him on what are good places to put such a thing and what aren't. You've talked about the Chamber, you've talked about the Journal Plaza. The Chamber doesn't get nearly as much traffic as the Journal Plaza. I worked there for 13 years, so I have some concept of that. That's also a good location, but my suggestion would be close it out tonight, put it on the agenda for a future date, because what you're doing is driving people crazy. You're talking about stuff we can't even hear most of it, and it's not on the agenda. And the police chief is the one you ought to be talking with first. Where are the possible locations to put it? Thank you.
Is this even something that we're going to decide? I mean, isn't it Tourist Development Council going to decide where this goes?
No, it went off the rails. I just wanted to have Mr. Brantley know there was a kiosk, and if there was any plans already where it was going to go or not, and this whole thing went off the rails.
Yeah,
I
I think
agree.
they're trying to get, Tourist Development Council is trying to get it signed and up as fast as possible, so I just don't want us to slow something down that they're responsible to do. We don't need to get in the middle of something and slow it down.
So let's just get back to the agenda. So we have an updated plant list and suggestions. So what was the favor of this board to proceed? Again, I would like this to go out to everybody. I mean, we didn't have the material published. Whatever you all want to do, but I just would like everybody to just at least get a look at it.
Well, can we publish it next month when we get together and go over, the final drawings, the final bids, the budget, where we're going to get the money, can we just advertise it then, and anybody who wants to come in and talk about it? I mean, I assume it was on the agenda for today, right, with the drawings? Or no? It wasn't?
Initial schematic was.
Those were not on the agenda?
Wasn't part of the package.
I got you. So can we just put it all on next month's meeting, and that way anybody can come in, you know, who wants to? I mean, if somebody wants to go door to door and talk to people about, you know, the drawings and stuff, they're welcome to do it.
We'll be
Not
able to
me,
put this
but-
on as well, Ken,
Yeah.
with the minutes. We can have this put on there. It's just, this was a rough draft for you
Yeah.
all to review and to be able to give us some feedback.
Mm-hmm.
We went further than just doing the plant list to try to give you an idea through a landscape plan to be able to see where things were going to be.
Okay.
So is it the favor of the board then to go ahead and tweak it so we have the final plan for approval for next meeting, or we could call a special meeting? I mean, it's up to you all what you want to do. If you want to move it along faster, I know it's, it's a lot of work if we have a special meeting. So it'd be better probably to just do it at a regular meeting, but what is the favor of this board?
I thought what we just talked about is you're going to go back, tweak it with Dennis, right? And then go out for bids, and then be ready at the next meeting where we would have budget tweaking discussions and to make some decisions of the plant. That's what I thought, that the next meeting, we want to have the design and the budget determined, approved. And so if you, before then, want to post this out on the website, ask them for feedback, I don't have any concern. I know at this meeting, we noticed that there's going to be a plant list, but again, nothing was public for people to see, and it's kind of hard to just put one picture up here of one area to see what it is.
Yeah, and I think Keep Lake Placid Beautiful is going to need that month to get the drawings revised, to get them out to bid, to get the bids back, to review it themselves, you know, and to
Right.
get it in front of us. They're going to need every bit of a month to do that. So I don't think, you know.
In the meanwhile,
Need to
we're
do
going to
something
put this out so that the public can see it, and so that the merchants that are affected by these plants can give their opinion. Am I right on that? Okay. Okay, I'm good.
But they need to give that feedback pretty fast so that he isn't going out to bid twice.
Yeah, like, how are they going to do that feedback? We want them to get with, you know, send an email to a particular
I
place?
think it
or-
would have to come back at the meeting
Yeah,
rather than random.
yes.
I think if you want to get feedback from business owners, somebody needs to walk the street with this and go talk to each business owner and show it to them and explain it to them and stuff like that. I mean, that's going to be a real effective way to get feedback, you know? I just don't know if
I
anybody.
will volunteer to do that, but I
Yeah.
do need the, need to have something to show them, so
Mhm.
I
Well, you-
guess I could just carry
Yeah,
this around.
you could show them this, the quantities don't matter to them, you know, for the most part. I mean, the quantities are gonna change slightly where things are missing and stuff, but everything that's on there, I think, is accurate. It's just that he's missing a few islands that he was supposed to show and he hasn't, so,
Somebody at the
yeah.
podium.
I mean, I also would like to see Cruise Bank. They have the clock out there. It looks, I don't know if that's in that paved area or not.
We're paving from the, street to the clock.
Oh, to the
Yeah,
clock,
and then
okay.
we're landscaping behind the clock.
I mean, they just invested in that clock. I just want to make sure that I can tell them, you know, they need to know, so.
Mark Schneider, Chief of Police, for the record. I would not recommend deviating from the plant list that's already been agreed upon while we were out there. It was very carefully selected to meet the requirements to maintain line of sight at all these locations. If we deviate from the list of plants that have already been agreed upon, you don't know exactly what's going to happen unless we look at those plants specifically for use in each individual location. I would strongly recommend sticking with the plan that was agreed upon during the walkthrough.
If you're going to go show this to people, I think you should just show them what's coming, not ask them if they want it to change, you know? I mean,
Okay.
they probably will be perfectly fine with it. It's
I think
way
they're gonna
better than
be
what they got
happy.
now, you know?
I think they're going to be happy for anything we did. As Mr. Hartzell said, it's not been pretty, not for anybody real reason. It's just anything will be an improvement, I believe. And I think everybody's going to be totally happy with it. I really do.
If you want to go door to door with that to each of the businesses, I'll help you, but I don't know that that's appropriate, but I would do it. I don't think it's appropriate, but.
So just commenting further on what the chief said, I mean, then, I think another approach is, do your tweaking, and this during next, part of next month's packet has the whole design and everything from the tweaking for people to come and comment at that time. Then, by then, and I think where it's missing today is the people, we had it on the agenda, approved plant list, but nobody saw it, even ourselves, until, now. I think the general discussion is we like what we saw. Yes, we have some tweaking that needs to be done, so we can tweak based on that comment if you so feel it's necessary. Put it on next CRA, include in the packet, this is what we're going to vote on. This is what we're going to discuss and we're going to vote on, and then we're also going to make some, and then put the budget that we approved in there, the 5-year, so it's known that we'll have some discussion on the ability to fund the bids as they come back. Other words, we're going to be here for months, back and forth, and we're going to delay it. The group's done a great job. The chief makes some good points that I didn't know. It's already the height, everything considered. People don't know that. Keep going, put it part of the packet. People have a chance to come at that next meeting and make those comments. And I'll make a motion to that.
And I'll second it.
Okay?
Okay, may I hear one last comment from the public?
Alex from TWQ. No, I agree with Colleen and, what, Snyder said. I mean, if we go to door, I mean, I think we should publish it and let people come on the next meeting if they want to change something or say they can come up to the meeting and present it. But if we go door to door, I just feel it's going to open a can of worms, just giving the option of people to comment and just input on a lot of different plants, and it just makes a lot of changes, As far as Worley, I mean, the tropha tree, we have crepe myrtles along the inner lake. So just switching that tree to a crepe myrtle is not going to affect anything. We can easily just put a crepe myrtle there instead of the tropha. And like I said, we should definitely post the designs online or anywhere, where citizens can look at it. And if they want to comment on it, they can comment on next meeting is my suggestion, because if not, we're not going to get anywhere if we start inputting it, one by one on what people think.
I do think too, if we can get this scanned and send it, I can send it to Ken Anderson, who has the loosely formed Merchants Association. I mean, he's been really diligent. He went through the whole business tax list and tried to get everybody's email. So I just, he's done a good job of trying to contact people. So that might be a ticket as well. Anyway, so we have a motion and a second. Any other comment?
Sorry, one more. I just want to make sure, are we going to actually add phase 2 to go out to bid as a separate, just to have it ready, or we're not going to do that? I want to know.
What do you call phase 2? I just wanted that. I don't necessarily all 4 corners, because you already got one. I want on the right, on the northwest corner, in front of the Robbin the Bank mural, that little island needs to be jazzed up.
Well, and the opposite side should too.
Yeah.
Then the Potter's
I mean,
House is mad
I-
because we did that side, not that.
Yeah. So, but your
I
point
think that's
earlier.
problematic. We did the 2 points. Phase 2, phase 2 is right after this is done. Sooner y'all approve this and we get going on it, phase 2 could start by April, as
But
far as that goes.
I didn't know exactly what phase 2 covered. Is it just
It
that
covers
corner?
whatever we want to, whatever we don't cover today, we'll cover in phase 2. Really, that's the rest of Interlake and then the intersection in Maine. I think would be phase 2, once we know the volume of water. We have 80 gallons at the wellhead, but we do have breaks somewhere down the line, so we don't know what volume we're going to have. So if you do 200 microjets at 10 microjets per island, we only got 20 islands to irrigate. We might not make it. We don't know the volume that we have.
But there's irrigation in this spot already. So are you saying by us putting in the volume of, I'll call it phase 1 plants, it may even impact the
Yes.
other plants?
Yes. Because we have to have proper coverage for those. Some of those islands, we're going to have 40 plants in the island.
So we earlier had spoke about just that 4 corner, adding that as a go out for bid, if you want to call that phase 2, just that corner,
Right.
phase 2. go out for bid with this, but then also, what would it be for that corner? That's what I thought Alec had talked about before.
We
that
can throw
could go
numbers out there, like I said, $3,000. $3,000 if we have the water. We don't know if we have the water or not. We don't, unfortunately, we don't know what we don't know. And it's gonna, once those plants start going in, I don't wanna get further along and not have adequate water for the plants we plan on putting in now.
Okay, and so as far as the motion goes, I hate to put you guys on the spot. Could you reread the motion to us? Okay. For next meeting. For next meeting.
Right.
Is everybody clear on that?
Yep.
Is everybody, okay, good. All right, so,
No.
No.
I did.
so I'll call for the vote, please.
Yes.
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 Okay, so, anything else? We've covered that. New business, there's none. Old business, we need project updates, please.
Eva, I'm sorry, I'm looking for the Dow Hall one. I see the downtown Flowerpots.
Which one were you looking for?
The Dow Hall.
No, I didn't see that. You can go into the.
I'm looking, I'm going. You're okay.
Are you getting there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. No, maybe. Says it's in another application?
Did you have it open on your desktop still?
Oh, it may be. We had pictures for Dow Hall building rehab. This was one of the items that was on our 5-year capital improvement plan. I don't know why it's not loading for us to be able to see the pictures, but we wanted to be able to show you the before and after because the work is being done down there. Thank you. Huge kudos to Harry because he took this task and has run with it. So the ADA bathroom is almost complete. We anticipate that that should be done by next week. He's also addressed the AC in the building because on the smaller portion, there was not an AC vent that went into that area, so that has been addressed. He also met with the fire marshal to find out what the capacity was, so we have identified that it's 63-person capacity, 18 on the small side with 45 on the large side. There were some issues that we ran into with regard to the kitchen area. For us to meet the fire marshal standards and the standards of the state, you cannot have a stove without a hood. So that will be addressing that situation. He addressed the emergency exit lights, the fire extinguishers, and then he'll be putting the address on the building. So we are moving forward with that project. We also, and I was going to ask Mr. Brantley to speak a little bit to this, just so that because the patio would be the next item for the Dow Hall renovation. However, it cannot be covered. It would require a new roof was going to say, he went out and looked at it with Harry as well, so he could give a little bit more information on that for us.
So where he was showing you, he wanted the porch to go, when you step out of that and you bring the concrete up within less than 1 inch of the entryway, you only have 7 foot to the soffit. So, and there's 2 valleys that come in that way. There's really no way to shed the water and slope it, because you're starting at 7 foot. You have a beam that supports it that's 8 inches. You know, it's just going to be too low. You could do something out the front. There is a gable out front that you could continue roof line out that way with insulated panels. That's something that can be priced out, but that's not in that little recess. It's going to be coming straight off the front porch is the only thing. When I drove back by there, I kind of had that idea that could be done, which would be nice and open for people to sit out front.
Thank you. So we did discuss what that looks like, what we could potentially do. Can you hear me?
No.
I don't know why it's. Yeah, it's on.
Just talk closer to it.
Let me get closer here. But whether we do it with a patio table, with a shade over it, things of that nature. So we'll get some quotes to be able to bring back to the next meeting as well for this project. And I will email out the pictures since it won't open, so that everybody here on the council has that. And then we'll also put it online so that people can see the work that's been done. It looks really good. It looks really nice in there. It's beautiful.
What do you think the timing for completion for public use would be?
That's going to depend, because we need to establish fees, and that's on our, that we didn't get to have that workshop.
Where I was going was, since next Monday's agenda is already out there, but maybe the one after, we should talk about a grand opening celebration with ribbon cutting and all that, something.
Right. Okay. So that's for Dow Hall. Anybody have questions, I was going to say?
Anything from the audience? You all understand what I don't know if you understand what we're talking about. With the playground and community house on Dow Hall Boulevard that we recently purchased, that's what we were discussing. We're trying to make the building usable by the public. It was used for a scout hut and different uses, but being a governmental building now, we have to put in ADA, and we have to have certain compliance for that building. So we're in the process of renovating it. So,
Before we move on from the building, can I make a comment on the building? Sure. Yeah, I just say that anything we do to the building, I mean, the building itself is already cheap and cheesy looking. I would hope that we don't continue, and make it look more cheap and cheesy. So whatever we do as far as adding a porch, I'd like to see it be, a structure that's maybe not aluminum in nature. It looks like a carport on a house, a mobile home, right? So I think we need to think about what we're going to design to go onto that building. And hopefully we could do something to make the building look nicer than it does, right? I mean,
Yes, and on the list, it has and it's already been done. So Harry is working with Dennis, because Dennis already has drawings very much like this to be able to allocate for where that's going to be.
can we see the drawings for?
We can bring them.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the plans are for that building, yeah.
We've got that.
okay, anything else? Okay, we're going to move on to downtown Flowerpots.
So we tried really hard to get the really nice pots like Ken had picked out. However, as TWQ, Alex had already said that it was probably going to prove to be an issue, and I think Ken even said that it would be very difficult to try to get them locally. However, we did work with Robbins, and they came up with this design here, or this flower pot, I should say, not this color, because the group had agreed on a lighter color, so this would be the color that we have. And then we have said that we wanted to have the lush over, the flowers coming out and things of that nature, so we do have the pots ordered. We showed them that they would go on top of this area here. Alex from TWQ has already said that around the perimeter of this area, we will be getting sod to put in there, so it'll look nicer than what it looks like right now. The cone is on there because it's already irrigation is there for the flower pots. They are resin-based. I don't know that I'm going to say this correct, but polythene. And he said that they're very durable. They have UV inhibitors embedded to resist any sun fade, so it'll help with the fading. They're also self-watering, and there's a lifetime warranty. When we were looking at the choices for pots, we were trying to see what would be best that would, for longevity, for durability, and also we took into account some of the chief's recommendations with what we put in there, so that was how we came up with this decision. The other thing that I wanted to bring up to the group is that in line with HGTV and hearing how all of the different municipalities are trying to beautify the areas, when I was speaking with Robbins Nursery, they said, well, you actually picked out the same pot that Sebring picked out. So Sebring was in the process of putting in their order as well, not the same color, but the same pot, and for the durability, the same reasons what we were looking for. So I thought that was interesting, and taking into account that when people come and they hear Highlands, they don't see the boundary lines, but they will see some consistency with some of our character, and that we do have some of the same things that we like.
We get a discount. We have our pots with Sebring's pots.
Yes,
get a
ma'am.
discount.
Yes, ma'am.
So can I ask you, the plan was we were putting 3 pots in groupings, so we were doing the medium, large, and extra large pots. Are we still doing that?
Yes.
Okay, so they're not as big as the pot that you showed us. They're
Could
going to
you-
be,
could you go-
I mean, I had
We, so.
diameter-wise, because they'll be bigger than our circle, you know?
No, so I actually came down and we measured everything, so he has the measurements.
Okay.
I sent him a video. We did have to play with some of the sizes to make sure, but there will be 3 options three that will go in that area.
And fit, okay.
Yeah.
How tall, do you know, is the tallest pot?
It just says on here, large rim, medium rim, small rim.
Okay. Because I gave somebody the
Yeah, we use those.
dimensions. And we had gone out there and we held pots up and we tried to get what we thought would be the right height in order for it not to look too small in the space that it was in. So I'm just hoping that we're actually getting to those heights.
We are, and
Okay,
Alex also spoke with Robbins Nursery. He went down there. So we provided them with all of the measurements, and
Okay, great.
we showed him the measurements and told him that it had to make sure with the height requirements based off of what we had discussed. So he received all that information.
Okay. And can we see the color again? So that's the color they're all the same color?
Yes, they will all be the same color.
Yeah.
When you get into pots they consider it more commercial use, there's difference in the colors and the color scheme that you could go after. We tried to look to see if we could do 3 different colors. It would not match, wouldn't look good with some of this, so we kept it uniform with all 3. And Robbins had a very good comment, and Alex also had said this from TWQ, that the flowers are going to give the pop anyways with
Yeah.
the greenery and the things that we put in there. So it's going to help, and that was why he chose this one as a example for us to be able to see, because once you get the color out there, and then remember it's sitting on top of the heritage pavers, which are a little bit darker, so it'll help bring out that color as well.
Yeah. A few quick questions for Alex. Are those pavers sealed? No? So, what's that?
Could you come up to the microphone, please? Thank you.
Say, like, Alex from TWQ, they're not sealed yet, but they will be.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just want to maintain the color in them. And when these pots come and you go to plant them, ideally I would like to get my flower guy who does flowers at the Journal, to meet with Alex and whoever and me to talk about the flowers going in there, because we like to have vines that come down the sides. There's a design that we would really like to do, So if that's okay, I'd love to make sure that we're all in line with what we're planting in order to get the best look out of those things.
We went ahead and told them that we wanted them to come with flowers already in them so that it gets here quicker. And what we discussed was the same thing that we've discussed here, that they needed to be low maintenance. He's also is aware of some of the other plantings that were done through Keep Lake Placid Beautiful, because Keep Lake Placid Beautiful uses them very frequently. So we worked with them already on that, because with time reasonings, what we were saying is that we needed to get them here quickly and out, and he said that he could have them soiled and with the flowers in them, so they'll be set up by TWQ.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
I could get with Robbins in that process.
Can you get me the list of what it is so I
Yeah,
can review that with my flower guy?
I want some vines dripping down from
Yeah,
the pots. I want that as well. So I'll get
Yeah.
with Robbins to see exactly. And if you want to get me in contact with your landscaper, and maybe we can, while they do that, when they have a set date that they're going to do it, we can just meet up.
Yeah, because we
At the nursery.
envision, lots of flowers in these things, not
Right.
just plants,
But you
I mean, we
also
got
want to
flower
make
in
sure that it doesn't take away from or clash with what we're doing on the down Interlake and on the end caps. You want to make sure that all that looks kind of uniform. So I wouldn't want the Journal Plaza look to come here, and then we've got a different look when it comes to
Right.
these. So I think it's got to meld.
Right.
Yeah, if we do it at Robbins, it's nice because they have all the plants there. So, I mean, we can play around
that
with
makes
this.
sense. I get that. That was a good idea, to have them planted,
Okay, anything else from the audience?
Oh, when are these getting delivered?
He said that we could expect them within 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay, great.
Another
that's
suggestion
great.
for the crosswalk, we did plan, we set up the plants, and there was an irrigation issue on one side. I got with Alan, and he took care of it very quickly. Some of the plants did die. I want to replace them, but I wanted to suggest if I can change the plants, because what we selected, once they're grown and full, it's going to look nice. But when we planted it, especially with the red mulch, we kind of envisioned the pine bark. And so when the city or the town put in the red mulch, we just matched the red mulch. But if I didn't want to just replace it with another variety without being approved by the council, I just wanted to see if it was okay for me to switch it up with something that's going to be a little bigger, and it's going to pop, and it's going to actually be more drought tolerant. We're thinking about matchsticks bromeliad. It's a very nice plant. It really pops, and I think it's going to make the island pop a little better. And no extra cost, nothing's going to change. I just wanted to make sure if it was okay with you guys.
I think it's a good idea to replace that stuff that's there. And, I mean, the stuff that was there was very low, and I think the stuff you're suggesting the
Bigger.
plant would be taller once you
Correct.
plant it, right?
Correct.
Because it seemed to me like some people were walking through there,
Right.
and those things were so low that, it didn't create a blocking effect for them.
Yeah, they weren't getting enough water. We got cold fronts coming in right away.
Yeah.
Right after that, it just died. And I've been wanting to replace it. I just don't want to replace it with the
Yeah.
same thing. I kind of wanted to bring something else, so I think it'll pop better. We'll leave the silver buttonwood, which is the silver bushes, but just around it, just add with it's called matchstick bromeliad. If you guys want to Google it, I think it'll really pop there. If you guys are okay with that, I'll jump on that right away.
I'm okay with it.
Okay,
I just wanted to ask, I know that you're asking him to coordinate and everything with Robbins. However, it's very important for me to make sure that I have my staff member involved, just because it is a town project.
Yeah.
And we want to ensure that we're all on the same page with what's occurring. And I say that, and not to bring the negativity, but just to hone in on the fact that we have to make sure that what we're doing aligns also with the county, because we ran into the issue with the county right-of-way where we didn't get the permit that we were told to get the permit. So this helps me. I'm not trying to micromanage, but I'm also the administrator responsible for making sure we handle it properly. So I want to ensure that myself or one of the staff members are involved.
Yeah, that's fine. And, I agreed that I'd have my flower guy maintain them, till the next budget cycle for the town comes around. You could do it yourself, but, so I'd like him to know what plants are coming so that if he has any comments on it, he can tell me. But want to make sure that he has the best ability to do the best job maintaining them as possible,
Yes,
right?
thank you, thank you.
okay. Any other comments from the public, from the board? Okay, let's move on to downtown irrigation.
I think we kind of talked on that a little bit already with the irrigation. Harry, you had already said that we talked a little bit about the irrigation concerns that we had with the Mid-Florida and Walgreens, where we still need to look at that and be checked. We kind of jumped that a little earlier. So it was just to talk about that. It looks like everything on Interlake is good. All of the irrigation on Interlake is good. And just the two spots in front of the Caladium Park place. There's two small islands there that we're not sure why there's no water. But it's nice and lush, so we're like, what's happening there? So Harry is still trying to do a little bit of an evaluation to see, well, why is it growing if there's no water there?
It's watering underground.
Yeah, it's coming up underneath.
And that is a major accomplishment. Thank you, Harry, for being so on task with that. It's a big project. Okay, is there any comments from the, no? Okay. Anything else before the board? Would you like it?
I have a question. What's the status of the banners?
The banners are on hold right now because we're waiting for Central Florida Regional Planning. They will be handling the text amendments, but we have, the workshop is on the 17th.
So the workshop on the 17th will include banners,
That's what it's for.
signs, Wayfair? I guess I didn't
That's
think
February.
banners
And
was in a
wayfinding.
sign, but okay.
Yes, on the advertisement, it has Central Florida Regional Planning to contact Jennifer Cotto Salisbury with her email address, and then it says some of the topics to be discussed are banners, wayfinding, and signs.
That's February 17th?
February
I
17th.
Here?
was not aware
What time?
that, I was pointed out to me that's President's Day.
It is President's Day, but we're open.
We are.
We are open.
What
We're
time
We're
is it?
open for business.
What time, please?
5:30 to 7:30. And that's been advertised on the website. It's been advertised by the Police Department Facebook. It's been advertised on Nextdoor app. And then Central Florida Regional Planning is also advertising it, and it will be published in the newspaper, in the classified, and to the chamber. The chamber is also sharing it.
Okay.
Ms. Hayes? Ms. Hayes?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. LeBlanc? Frank? Do you have anything to add?
Not at this time, no.
And Ms. Joy? Well, thank you all for coming. Thank you for your participation. This is how democracy works, and I'm glad everybody came and we had input. Thank you.